Welcome to this explainer. Look, today we're going to look at higher education through a totally different lens. We're talking about treating your international education like the massive, life-altering financial investment it actually is. Picking a university in the US right now, it takes a ton of caution, a real strategy, and honestly, a clear-eyed look at today's economic climate. Make the wrong move here, and the consequences are going to stick around for a long time. So let's build a strategic playbook right here, right now, to protect that investment. I want to kick things off with this stark warning straight from our source material. Do not assume that admission equals support. Man, that hits the nail on the head. This is literally the biggest trap international students are falling into right now. Sure, getting that acceptance letter feels like a massive win. And hey, it is, but it absolutely does not guarantee you're going to have a safe, supported, or even valuable experience once you step foot on campus. You can't just coast because you got in. We really need to dig deeper. So, here's our 5-part roadmap to navigate this volatile market. 1. The new university landscape. 2. The small college risk. 3. The big state advantage. 4. Geography, safety, and support. And 5. Exploring global alternatives. We'll zip right through these to get you the exact criteria you need for a rock-solid, high-yielding investment. All right, let's jump straight into Section 1, the new university landscape, and specifically the economic realities out there. Dozens. Seriously, let that sink in. According to the National Center for Education Statistics, that is the number of U.S. colleges closing their doors completely or being forced into mergers every single year over the last decade. It's wild. The current economic climate makes picking a U.S. school incredibly precarious right now. Institutions are bleeding enrollment and facing massive financial instability. The whole landscape is shifting under our feet, and as an international student, the absolute last thing you want is to be holding a degree from a place that literally goes bankrupt before you even get to frame your diploma. And that unsettling reality brings us right to Section 2, the small college risk, where vulnerability gets exposed. We really need to dismantle this romanticized Hollywood idea of the quaint, small-town American college. When you put them head-to-head, it's a no-brainer. Smaller campuses carry a huge risk profile. They're the ones getting hit hardest by that financial instability and declining enrollment we just talked about. Plus, their global network, usually pretty limited. On the flip side, larger institutions offer fortress-like stability. We're talking established reputations, serious economic resilience against market crashes, and a competitive degree weight that employers globally will actually recognize. But it's not just about the money, right? Smaller campuses severely limit your actual day-to-day experience and your future career yield. They just have fewer academic programs. Want to pivot your major? The options might literally not be there. Research opportunities are scarce, which is a massive bummer if you're eyeing grad school. You're looking at limited internships and industry connections, which are exactly what you need to land a job. Toss in fewer student services and way less exposure to global networks, and you've got a recipe for limited long-term prospects. For an international student, that's a huge deal. So what's the actual strategic move here? Let's talk about it in Section 3, the big state advantage, maximizing your ROI. The cheat code here is what we call the large university premium. By targeting larger, well-known universities, you're tapping into established global reputations, much deeper academic programs, and massive resources with state-of-the-art facilities. They've also got way better developed student services to actually have your back. Look at massive public systems like SUNY in New York or the University of California. They offer this undeniable economic resilience and structured support that a tiny college simply can't pull off. They aren't going to vanish overnight. But hey, size isn't everything. Let's move to Section 4, geography, safety, and support, and figure out exactly where you should invest. Geography is huge in the States. Our strategic playbook explicitly tells international students to laser focus their search on state universities in the Northeast and Northwest regions of the country. This isn't just throwing darts at a map. There are extremely specific structural reasons why these specific areas offer way better returns on your investment. By targeting these regions, you're essentially guaranteeing yourself a safer, highly regulated environment. You get better infrastructure, strict public oversight, and fantastic academic reputations. Think of heavyweight schools like the University of Washington or Penn State. They're large, they're established, they have a massive menu of programs, and the institutional support is top-notch. These regions just consistently deliver stable environments and better long-term outcomes. And we absolutely cannot overlook safety. This is where those large universities in the Northeast and Northwest really flex their muscles. They have the actual cash flow to fund essential safety infrastructure. We're talking dedicated campus police, serious security systems, and comprehensive health and counseling services. Let's be real, navigating a healthcare system thousands of miles from home is stressful enough without doing it at a tiny school with an underfunded clinic. Plus, these diverse, well-funded campuses provide a safety net that is just absolutely vital. So here's the deal, you have got to do your homework. The Institute of International Education points out that foreign students pump billions into the U.S. economy every year. Basically, your tuition is a major revenue stream. To make sure you aren't just treated like a walking ATM, you need to ruthlessly execute this three-step checklist before you enroll anywhere. First, investigate the real quality of their support services. Second, verify retention and graduation rates, specifically for international students. And third, track those career outcomes. Are their international grads actually landing jobs? You need to demand proof before you hand over a single dime. All right, let's step back and look at the big picture in Section 5, Exploring Global Alternatives, Pivoting Your Strategy. Look, given the political and economic roller coaster in the U.S. right now, a savvy investor knows when it might be time to pivot. If the U.S. market just feels way too volatile for your capital, there are amazing alternatives out there. Hitting pause on the U.S. and pivoting to Canada, Australia, or the U.K. offers some incredibly strategic advantages. We're talking internationally recognized degrees, much more predictable policy environments, and immigration pathways that actually make sense. For some of you, choosing a totally different country might end up being the smartest strategic move of the whole bunch. As we wrap up this explainer, I want you to look at the data we just walked through and ask yourself this one vital question. Will you choose stability, or are you going to take a risk with your education? Now is definitely not the time to gamble. Skip the small, financially shaky schools. Focused on the large, well-known state universities, especially in the Northeast and Northwest. Demand safety, demand global recognition, and demand proof of long-term outcomes. Your education is a massive investment. Choose stability, choose recognition, and choose wisely. Thanks so much for hanging out with me for this explainer, and I really hope this playbook helps you navigate your journey ahead.